We're back at the Audible Angle. Rapid fire NCAA tournament time. We got to get through the brackets. We'll see how long it takes. We got Druzy back in studio. He was celebrating his hole-in-one for about 3 weeks, as you can tell. He might look a little disheveled. He did get the text that we're all wearing black tops. So he's on the ball for tonight. I'm going to quick now. 1.5 minutes, Irby, for main takeaway, initial takeaway from watching the selection show that just got completed.
I'm going to say that this year's bracket is not a chalk bracket. It's close. I like a couple of 2 seeds, Dilly, to upset some 1 seeds to get into the Final Four. So I like the 2 seeds this year. I think overall the bracket makers got it right.
Druzy, you get 40 seconds.
All right, sweet. Good to be on with you guys, and I agree with Herbs. I think the bracket, I have less problems with this bracket, it seems, that as maybe I had in previous years. Just when the reveal came out, it kind of all made sense to me. Happy to see Miami of Ohio get in, St. Louis get in versus, some of these teams that are finishing below 500 in these mega conferences. I'm kind of bored with that personally. So I thought the bracket looks nice, and we'll get into the details here shortly.
Here's my takeaway. I watched half the show, and I clicked on some bracketology tabs on CBSSports.com. Selection show totally ruined. Fake news, because the bracketology experts basically have had it locked in damn near every step of the way. Just a quick adjustment for some conference tournament champions, but it's a little weird to me. There's no real shockers. Overall, SEC, fake news, 10 teams. We'll get into that. But all the other conferences can prove it in the tournament by wiping those fools out, the Georgias of the world. We're going to move quickly. Like I said, we're going to start in the West. Why are we starting in the West? Well, it's where Wisconsin is. We got some passionate Wisconsin hosts and listeners starting at the top of the bracket, and just let me know how you want me to go through this. I do think we need to take it out a few steps, but I'll just give the first matchups here leading into a Sweet 32 matchup. Would be the winner of Arizona, 1 seed, versus 16 seed LIU. And then on the bottom side of that, the unfortunate 8-9 seeds, probably the worst seed in the business, Villanova and Utah State. Let's talk about them all as a group, because we don't think LIU has a chance. Can we confirm that?
Confirmed. No chance.
No chance for LIU. And folks, we're not going to say that for every 1 seed, at least if the show goes on another 30 years, because eventually there will be an upset and we will sniff it out. It just isn't happening in this game. Utah State winners, conference winners, I believe, correct, versus Villanova from one of our favorite conferences in the world. A very deserving conference led by UConn. Is this going to be the first strike against the, I will keep wanting to say ACC, but it's not the ACC. What the hell conference is Villanova and UConn then?
Big East.
Big East. That's not run by Syracuse and Georgetown anymore?
It is not.
Right?
It is not.
What do you think? Utah State got a sniff of Villanova here, Irby? Is this an early upset special?
Upset special, lock it in. Utah State will upset the 9 seed's going to take the 8 seed here. Villanova is not a good enough basketball team. Utah State shoots the 3 well. They've got a good squad. I like that, them moving in. Unfortunately for Utah State, it's a one and done here in the NCAA tournament. You run into the juggernaut that is Arizona.
Druzy, do you concur?
I do concur with Irby. I like Utah State. Again, good outside shooting team, very successful season in a pretty good Mountain West, and Villanova was up and down, but I do agree with Utah State and agree that, boy, it sure would have been nice to see him maybe get a 7 and run up against a 2 instead of a 1, but it is what it is.
Quick sidebar, a lot of fans are going to be filling out brackets, which this is pertinent information for. Some listeners and ourselves are going to be in a Calcutta auction where you basically auction off the teams. A little Irby, this is your first one, I believe. Drewsy's kind of rode like silent shotgun with me through a couple of these. We like Utah State in this one. It's a upset pick. Irby wanted to lock it in. Got some bad news for us. In the Calcutta, we'll remember those statements. The teams kind of come out not in the bracket order. They go by region, but it might be High Point, and then we're bidding on Utah State. It's a little different to keep track of. We're going to get excited about it, and all of a sudden we're going to be bidding $64 on Utah State. They're going to get the upset win, and we're like, all right, all they got to do is upset Arizona, and it'll be a profitable team because we're all going to overpay for these teams and then realize, even an 8 seed, you kind of got to get to the Sweet 16 to make any money, and that means beating a 1 seed. So be wary out there, folks. In your brackets, go ahead and take Utah State, and then do not take them against Arizona. Moving down the line, and I should be writing this in, but I'm not. I'll just remember. We got Wisconsin versus High Point at Irby. Emotional for you, because you told me live and in person in front of a studio audience, High Point was absolutely winning an NCAA tournament game. Does this hold true?
Yeah, I did. There was a very vocal F-bomb that was dropped when I saw this one come out because of all the teams. We kind of all knew that Wisconsin was going to sit on that 5 line, and I would take anyone but High Point. This will be a good game. High Point is one of the highest scoring games. It'll be fun for anybody to watch this game because it might be 99 to 104 by the end of this. High Point's got a big guy that's pretty solid. They can shoot the 3. They run. They do play defense. I got to take Wisconsin. This is where I get in trouble. The upset special was High Point. I'm still good on them. If you're not a Wisconsin fan, take High Point. It's a win-win for you, but not for me. I'm taking Wisconsin here, but boy, oh boy. Sorry, High Point. You ran into one of the hottest teams in the NCAA tournament right now. You will lose in round 1.
This is obviously going to be a running theme because I glanced at the other 12 seeds. I mean, you might take any of the other 12 seeds, but they're all kind of tough. Akron's kind of tough. Northern Iowa, another team you highlighted. Jersey, as the non-Badger fan, so an unvarnished, unbiased, possibly varnished, I guess. Is High Point the favorite?
I don't think High Point's the favorite, but certainly a capable opponent for sure. Kind of a tough first round matchup for Wisconsin, but a tough little pod they ended up in my opinion. High Point, I think, owns the current longest winning streak in the country at something like 14 games, so they're coming in hot. I think Wisconsin's played well down the stretch. Irby's point should be a good game. I do think Wisconsin probably has too much high-end talent and ends up getting it done, but looking forward to this one and maybe seeing one of those first-round games where they actually put up some points.
Now, I'm not going to try to dominate this whole show with Calcutta points, and this is possibly leaking to anybody that watches this. Irby, are you going to be able to put aside, Wisconsin, there's a lot of Badger guys in this thing. They'll be overbought. They'll get bid up. Are we going to be able to make a move on High Point for $32?
Yeah, I mean, for $32 for sure. The problem here is I do believe Wisconsin. If they get through this, I believe Wisconsin's beating Arkansas in the round of 32. They're a Sweet 16 team and a sneaky team, to be honest, that Arizona probably doesn't want to see. This is a team that Arizona will be a tough matchup because I don't think Arizona can score with Wisconsin. So don't be surprised if Wisconsin finds themselves in the Elite Eight, because Arizona is not going to be guarding out to the three-point line, and they certainly don't shoot enough threes to stay with Wisconsin if they score threes.
It's the dichotomy of the tournament. Wisconsin, ugly, surprisingly tough matchup. Maybe not surprisingly, but tough matchup to get their first win. But yeah, you can create a path for them to also be a dangerous team. Arkansas, Hawaii, we did mention Hawaii, I think, in one podcast is kind of a fun team out there. Is it fun and coming to an end early for Hawaii versus Arkansas? Jersey.
I think it comes to an end. I think it's a good call, Dilly. Hawaii had a very successful season. They're kind of a lot of late games, so a lot of people might not catch them, but they had a great season. I caught a decent amount of Arkansas's game today and watched them a little bit this week, and they're so talented. You ask yourself how they didn't win 28 or 29 games. You know, they've been up and down because, man, Darius Acuff is so unbelievably good. And I think he's such a difference maker, and I got Arkansas winning this one.
In the next slate of games, we got BYU 6 seed versus a play-in winner, Texas and NC State. Now, this becomes kind of a critical point. Irby's been on BYU all year. We like the Big 12. They went through a little stink fest. Have they recovered enough? They got a win in their tournament. Can't remember if they got 2, but are they back on track? Their net rank is 23rd in the country, but they're 29-9 in conference. They like we said, we had some stumbles, but their playing appointment. Should Texas even be in this tournament?
The answer is no. Texas should not be in this tournament. It's a joke. They come from the SEC. I mean, come on, guys. Texas is in conference 500 in a bad conference. I don't care about the 10 teams. Here is the bottom line. BYU has the highest scorer in the league. AJ is averaging over 25 points a game. It's going to be too much for either NC State. This isn't 2 years ago when NC State made a run into the Elite Eight, Final Four. That's not the same team. They're lucky to be in NC State. That's a quick out here on Tuesday or Wednesday night for them, because I do believe Texas beats them and BYU puts an end to it in their first round game. BYU moves on, and I like them as a sleeper here. They're going to give Gonzaga a tough game in the second round.
And then we got Kennesaw State, kind of a fun college football team, playing hard, getting it done. Gonzaga, not as good at football at all. Zags, cakewalk.
I like the Zags. Kind of a quiet, sneaky good year. I didn't realize that they were 30-3, kind of snuck under the radar, and actually a very good West Coast conference with, we'll talk about Santa Clara and St. Mary's later. But do like Gonzaga in this one. Good for Kennesaw State making the tournament as to your point, Dilly, a recent Division I upgrade, but Gonzaga gets it done.
Back to football. We got Miami Hurricanes in this last little quadrant of the West. We got the Hurricanes against Mizzou. A fair football matchup. Missouri, out of the Irby's favorite conference, the SEC. They're coming in hot, 20-12, barely got to 20 wins. What are they doing in the tournament, and will they beat Miami? Irby.
This is a tough one because I'm not high on Miami. I think that Miami's going to have a little bit more than Missouri does. Missouri played well towards the end of the season. Drew, I don't like Missouri. I don't like the SEC. I'm going with the ACC here in Miami. They're probably equally as mediocre as far as a conference, in my opinion. Probably better on the top side from the ACC. I'm going to go with Miami here to beat a middling Missouri team.
Jersey, any thoughts on this matchup?
Yeah, one of these matchups I'm not overly enthralled with just because of a lot of the things Irby already described. But I'm going to go with Missouri just because they played in a little bit tougher conference. Hard to get on board with some of those mid-level, middling ACC teams. So I'm going to go with Missouri playing a game close to home in the first round. Maybe that's a little bit of a difference maker.
Moving on to number 2 seed, Purdue versus Queens. Now, to me, this gets a little interesting because Purdue was on our watch list for sleepy sliding down the ranks in the Big Ten throughout the year. Been hot, then cold. Obviously, they warmed up a little bit in the Big Ten tournament. Are these bottom 4 games, does it basically not matter? Because whoever comes through these 2 games is going to lose to BYU or Gonzaga, a game we haven't called yet. But is Purdue any good, Irby?
They're not too good. This is where I said that the bracket makers got it right. This is one that they got it wrong. This is too highly seeded. Purdue is a 3-4 seed, in my opinion, just because they win the Big Ten. And this is actually unprecedented, guys. I don't know. In years past, we've always said that the Big Ten winner kind of gets the shaft. They don't get a bump. This is 100% what have you done for me lately in Purdue, and they seem to forget that Purdue laid an egg at home against Wisconsin in the last conference game to give them a 6 seed in the bracket and then had an easier road. Honestly, yes, they did beat Michigan, which Wisconsin failed to do, but they beat Michigan in the championship game where Michigan probably was uninterested in playing hard for that game and was more interested in rest. That Michigan game where team was not the same in the championship game as they were in the semifinal. Purdue is overranked. They win this first round game. They win the second round game because Miami and Missouri are both as equally as shitty, but they're not getting by Gonzaga or BYU.
Is Purdue, Miami, and Missouri, are they equally shitty?
I'm not quite as down on Purdue as much as Irby is. I think they're a good team. They are a little bit hard to figure out, I will admit, because they've had some confounding results this year. They got blown out by Iowa State by 30 points at Purdue, but I think they're still a scary team because they're a veteran team. They've got some size with Clough and Kaufman-Renn, and they're playing well at the right time. I don't think they have any problem with Missouri or Miami, and I think we're looking at, we'll talk about the BYU Gonzaga game here in a second, but I do like Purdue to at least easily get into the Sweet 16.
Jersey playing well at the right time. They won 2 games in the Big Ten tournament. That's it. They won 3. They won 3 games, and everybody forgets they lost to Wisconsin at home. Playing well they've been playing shitty for the last 6 weeks. It's terrible. Junk.
Purdue's terrible. A little further Calcutta note, as we like to bust in here a lot, it's almost guaranteed that us 3 dudes are going to put our money in the Calcutta auction, and we're going to end up with Purdue, UConn, and a bunch of SEC teams, and you can almost guarantee it. And we're going to come in here on Wednesday and tout, or Thursday probably, and tout those teams like we knew it. We knew it.
Go NC State. Go NC State. I can't wait.
Yeah. Bonus question, and this is toss-up, just whoever answers first. How many guys on the current Purdue Boilermaker team could you make a case for just visually as being related to Brian Cardinal? Because I swear, when I saw some highlights of that game, I was like, oh,
7.
Brian Cardinal. There's Brian Cardinal.
7.
Who cares? 7. All right. 7 it is. We're going to work our way right up this bracket here. I guess we're filling out a bracket and just going for it. Zags, are the Zags holding strong against BYU? Or, we kind of liked BYU. Irby's shaking his head. Irby, tell us what's on your mind about BYU versus the Zags.
BYU's got this. The problem with the Zags in many, many years, even when they were the number 1 team in the country, they weren't battle-tested. BYU is battle-tested. Do not forget what conference they came from. Do not forget all of those losses that they have are quality losses to Big 12 teams when it mattered. BYU's coming out smelling a lot better. Gonzaga, yeah, you played Santa Clara. They're middling. Yes, you played St. Mary's. They're mid-major. You're still a mid-major team. You're not good enough to win this game. BYU is better, and they have better athletes. BYU wins that game.
Jersey, on the strength of a 3-7 record versus the top 25, are you feeling as strong about BYU's battle testing and dominance, forthcoming dominance of Gonzaga?
Not going to argue with a lot of Irby's points. The Big 12 is by far the tougher conference, but I think this Gonzaga team is a little bit different than some of the Gonzaga teams we've faced in the past, a little bit more team-oriented, a little bit more based on defense. Maybe they don't have any superstars, but they have a balanced lineup. I wish I knew the status of Braden Huff, but I really like Graham Ike for Gonzaga, and I am going to pick Gonzaga to beat BYU just because BYU, yes, they're battle tested, but they were 9-9 in the conference, and we've already talked about that a little bit. But I think it's going to be a great game. But I am going to take Gonzaga.
Now we get ourselves in a little problem here on this end of the bracket, boys. We got a Purdue team who Irby doesn't really like. Jersey likes more than Irby, but perhaps not a ton. We got indecision on BYU versus Gonzaga. This is where you make some money in Calcutta or your bracket by getting this part of a bracket right. Where if you're wrong on BYU, you're out early. They haven't been playing so well that they're gonna be a lock to win their first game. And we got them or Gonzaga, who I assume are concerns about Gonzaga's competition level, if they do get past BYU, it's the same story against Purdue in the next matchup. Gonzaga is BYU. I'm going to start with Irby because I think I know the answer. Is BYU coming out of this part of the bracket into the Elite Eight?
Actually, for the points that Drew said, this Gonzaga team is actually built a little different than years past, even when they were the best team in the country going into the tournament. The problem with BYU is this, Dilly. They're too top-heavy and dependent on one or two players, and when one of those two players has a bad game, that's when they lose, and that's why they have those 9 losses in conference, Drew, that you said. Where we have that the team that comes out of this grouping, is that what you're saying, into that Elite Eight? I would tell you that Purdue or Gonzaga are going to be the 2 teams that come out of that, mostly because of, and I hate to say this, Braden Smith has been there for the last 7 years. He's been here in the last 7 years. I still can't stand the dump, and that's what he is. He's a dumpster fire. The only reason he's the all-time assist leader is because every other good point guard goes to the NBA before the end of his 4 years. Braden Smith has been stuck in the NCAA because nobody wants him at the next level, and he's not good enough. However, the bottom line here is Ren is probably good enough. It's going to be between, in my opinion, and I'll sling this over to you two. It's going to be between Gonzaga or Purdue that comes out of this little pod.
I think what I heard Irby say is that Purdue is a very experienced team that is built for March because they've all been there forever. And I am going to go with Purdue. They are the best team in this particular pod and section of the bracket, and I've got them going to the Elite Eight.
At the risk of this starting to sound like a Homer show for 1/3 of the broadcast team, we know the Utah State outcome versus Arizona. They might have some big guys, but they don't have enough big guys, even against Arizona. And the SEC sucks, so Wisconsin is going to beat Arkansas, even though they have the most talented player in the world, possibly. Irby told us earlier, Wisconsin is an ugly game for Arizona. They don't want it. They don't want that. Are we right as of this moment talking ourselves into a Wisconsin-Purdue matchup? Because I've already clicked it. I've checked the boxes. We got Arizona and Wisconsin in the Sweet 16 for the honor of playing the Gene Katie-led Purdue Boilermakers.
Let me butt in here, Drew. I'm going to tell you right now, the difference between the Badgers winning or losing that game against Arizona goes on one person, okay, assuming that everything falls correctly, and that's if Winter is healthy enough to play. They missed him a lot in that game against Michigan. That was the difference, and it was still a tight game. Wisconsin can play with anyone in the country. When they make threes, they proved against Illinois they don't have to make threes to win. They didn't shoot a lot of threes. They didn't make a lot of threes in Illinois, and they still won that game. Then the threes, Austin Rapp kept them in it against Michigan. I will tell you that it's going to be a game that Arizona doesn't want to see with Wisconsin. Arizona is by far the favorite to win the NCAA tournament, and that is one of the big reasons, Drew, I am taking Wisconsin to beat Arizona here and get to the Elite Eight and play Purdue.
Drew, you're going to have to make a pretty strong case for us to avoid a Wisconsin-Purdue matchup in the Elite Eight. You got a minute. I'll give you a full minute. Are you going to convince us, or are you getting on board?
Yeah. Well, that was one of the least shocking predictions in all of human history right there. Wisconsin going to the Elite Eight. I mean, other than Arizona being, I don't know, the best team in the country with all kinds of talent. I'm not convinced that Wisconsin is just going to walk past Arkansas either, by the way. But I'm just saying, it's a little bit, I mean, that's going to be, I can't wait for that game. I hope that game happens. But I've got Arizona. I just think they're too talented. Their resume speaks for itself. Now, I will say that Arizona is not going to be looking forward to the winner of that game, whoever it is, especially if it's Wisconsin. It's probably the least desirable matchup that you can have, especially when you're just looking for a chance to go to the Elite Eight. But I got Arizona.
Don't forget, Drew, Wisconsin's got the best backcourt in the country. Boyd and Blackwell. Best. I mean, you got to count on 35 each, so it's 70 points right there. All they need is 20 from the 6 other guys that play.
Yeah. I mean, no argument. I just feel like between Burries and Cole Pete and Bradley Joseph, I mean, those 3 guys are pretty dynamic. But it should be a great game if that's the way it lines up.
Tough matchup.
Can we say that, you know, this wasn't originally actually going to be a fill out the entire bracket show, but can we just say that it's the winner of whoever comes out of Arizona, Wisconsin, and I'll even put Arkansas in there. Those three teams, they're beating whoever comes out of the bottom. So that's your Final Four team?
Yes.
Arizona, Wisconsin, Arkansas. Pick the correct one, and you have yourself a Final Four team. So make sure you pick out of that top half of that bracket. And if Villanova, High Point, and Hawaii come strong, just remember this is what we talked about for sure. We're going to jump to the Midwest and just keep marching down the right side of whatever bracket I'm looking at here. We got the Golden Retrievers against Howard the Duck. They get to face Michigan. Winner gets to face Michigan. It doesn't matter. Michigan steamrolling them. What is the Retrievers? That's the best thing about them is their logo.
Hey man, that's a team that's already beaten one seed. They know how to do it, Drew.
Their logo and the fact that they are the answer to a now famous trivia question, but no such luck this time.
The net rank is 196th in the country. I don't know how quickly the producer can get back to the I just saw the chat, Irby's comments in the chat about Purdue.
It's good stuff.
Hope we got to all that. We got the UMBC. I just, I can't imagine they were the 196th net ranked team in the country when they did pull off the upset. But, hey, there's something to be said. It's like the Richmond Spiders taking down Syracuse as a 15 seed, Everybody remembers them. I'm sure they remember how to do it. And it'd be kind of funny because it's Michigan. But St. Louis versus Georgia. Georgia's the 8 seed. Probably shouldn't be in the tournament. SEC should have about 4 teams in. They got 10 somehow. St. Louis, do they rid us of the stank of the SEC in round 1? Druzy.
Yes, they do. Couldn't agree more. Georgia shouldn't be in the tournament. The SEC sucks. I love St. Louis. I have a soft spot for them. The fighting Rick Majerus says get it done. And the spectacled big man Robbie Avila. I got St. Louis.
Yes, Robbie Avila. It's a lock. Lock it in. We've got 2 9 seeds going on back-to-back, Drew. 2 9 seeds, Utah State, and now St. Louis, the Billikens, locking it up with Mr. Avila. Best classes in the NCAA.
Just another Calcutta reminder here as we get super excited for 9 seed upsets. They get Michigan the next game. Is the party over in St. Louis?
Sadly, yes.
Yes.
Now, guys, remember, a lot of listeners, that's a key word there, listeners. So when you're both nodding furiously up and down, it doesn't help the listeners a lot, but, if there's any long pauses, tune in for the bodily gestures. That'll help you out. Texas Tech, they stink. They're facing they're facing Akron and another 12 versus 5 matchup. Big 12 kind of also Rams. They're in there. They're mixing up in the Big 12. Does that get them enough to take down a weighty Akron team? Irby.
Akron, I'll be honest. I like all 4 of the 12 seeds in the bracket this year. Outside of the fact that we know Wisconsin's going to upset that apple cart, Akron will beat Texas Tech. Texas Tech here. Bottom line, guys, let's call a spade a spade. They don't have their best player. He did his AC now. Akron is a good team. Akron moves on. Texas Tech, you would have beat them, not smoked them. They would have beat them if they have their best player, but he's out with an ACL. Akron.
Fully agree with that, Dilly. Akron, sneaky good in the MAC this year. Miami of Ohio got a lot of the attention, but quietly Akron put together a good season and agreed. Best player out. I think their second best player is also nursing some sort of an injury. And of all the 12 seeds, I think Akron probably lands closest for me in terms of beating the 5.
Other than High Point, who very well might beat the Final Four Wisconsin Badgers, who destroy Arizona due to scoring 148 points consecutively. Hofstra, 13 seed facing Alabama. Out of the SEC, Alabama does hold a little special place in our hearts. does Hofstra, Peter Hofstra, does that have anything to do with? Do you know Peter Hoff somehow, Druzy?
No, no, just enjoying the convo, Dilly. It's good stuff.
See,
Shout out
Peter
to Peter
Hoff.
Hoff. I hope he's
Does he
doing
have a
well.
little affection for Hofstra, or no? I could ask him.
Yeah.
I think we just texted each other like 13 years ago. Irby, Hofstra got anything for us here, or is it just a whitewashing here?
By 30.
Bama wins by 30. That's an easy one. Now, Bama might be a team that we can sink our teeth into a little bit in the old Calcutta auction, but then they face Michigan. And do we think they have enough gas to take out Michigan, who just got beat by Stank Purdue and Brian Cardinal's illegitimate children?
I think they do, Dilly. It doesn't feel like, I don't know, it feels like Michigan's maybe not played as well in the last week or two. They've even won some games. Wisconsin played them really tough the other day, and Alabama does have enough, absolutely, to beat Michigan. I think I'm going to take Michigan in this game, but I think it's going to be really, really close, and certainly wouldn't surprise me if Alabama won the game. So good Calcutta call for sure, Dilly.
Official pick, Irby? All right. Druzy overruled, as he should be. So we got Bama already getting to the Elite Eight out here. Now we got a mess in the bottom half of the bracket. Some teams from our least favorite conferences. We got the oft-mentioned Miami of Ohio taking on the shouldn't really be here SMU Mustangs. Probably have a recruiting violation in there somewhere. Against the also probably pretty stank Tennessee Volunteers out of the absolute stank of the SEC outside of Alabama. Who wins this stink show? And it's not SMU, correct?
Yeah, I've got Miami of Ohio winning that game. SMU is going to be more athletic than Miami, but Miami's a better team than SMU.
I got SMU winning the game, that first play-in game, Dilly. But do have Tennessee winning whatever team they play, whether it's Miami or SMU in that one. It's not my favorite pick because the SEC sucks, but you got to pick someone, and I'm picking Tennessee.
Mr. Coach Steele just called me, just texted me, and he isn't happy. Drew, you're lucky you're still on the show because Coach Steele holds a lot of water with this little outfit we got going. He's not happy. Miami of Ohio will give both of these teams a run, but they're not going to be as athletic as both of them. So I wouldn't necessarily disagree with Druzy's take.
We're going to leave this bracket empty because clearly we have two powerhouses right beneath them that are going to wipe them out in a subsequent game anyway. The highly, highly rated Virginia, no Tony Bennett Cavaliers versus the Horizon League's own Wright State. Wrong time, Wright State. Irby, we'll start with you. You like Virginia, right?
Big fan of Virginia. I don't know how they beat. Virginia's not. They were not Virginia. Virginia's not good. They're going to win this matchup. Wright State is in the Horizon League, which is not a good league for basketball. It just, bottom line, isn't. I think they were all stacked up. There's like 1 or 2 games from 1 down to like 6 in that conference, and there's records there as it finished. And Wright State wasn't on the top of that. They kind of stole this conference tournament. Wright State's not beating Virginia. Virginia's not winning another game because Miami of Ohio and or Tennessee will beat them. But Virginia is overrated. I can't get my arms around them. Drew, I'm interested to hear your thoughts. I think it's a bad league, and I think it's a bad basketball team.
Yeah, I feel like I was asleep at the wheel. Like, how did Virginia get to 29-5? Did they actually play those games? Can anyone check and make sure Virginia actually won 29 games? Because I don't know how it happened. Couldn't agree more. They're going to win the first game against Wright State. I think they probably actually squeeze into the Sweet 16. But we'll get to the bottom half of the bracket here. Don't love this pot of 4 teams at all, and I don't think there's a high likelihood that any of them gets out of the bracket past the Sweet 16.
Do we have a chance at seeing a good basketball game? Let me clarify, because we are talking SEC. Could we see an entertaining basketball game when Rick Pitino takes Kentucky into Santa Clara hosting in the Micron PC Bowl? I don't know. they're getting tired. I don't know. Kentucky stinks. Santa Clara stinks. Does this game matter because they're getting blasted by Iowa State in the next round anyway? Whoever
That is correct.
Yeah. Santa Clara is good. Santa Clara beats Kentucky, guys. Kentucky's not good, and they're out of the SEC. Santa Clara beats Kentucky.
We'll take our 1 point in bracketology there, and we will not invest in either side in the Calcutta. Tennessee State, I'm guessing? TNST, Tennessee State. They stole the LSU Tigers logo for this team, for this tournament. Are they the best team in Tennessee? In a theoretical matchup, they all advance all the way to face Tennessee out of the SEC. Does Tennessee State take down Tennessee?
Yes, because it's Tennessee.
Right.
And the SEC sucks.
Here's the deal, guys. Let's just look at it, the big picture. The best team in the Midwest is Iowa State by far. Iowa State comes out of this bracket. I can cut to the chase. Unless you guys think otherwise, Iowa State is the best team in this 16.
All right. We got Iowa State moving on. We got Iowa State moving on to face Michigan or Alabama. Doesn't matter. We're taking Iowa State anyway, probably. But earlier I thought of a new way to break down this because we're speeding along. So I think we should just hop on here, keep going on the East, and then we might come back and kind of go Elite Eight forward with some more color. But let's see. I feel like we're chugging. Do you feel like we're chugging? Duke, Siena. Duke plays in a terrible conference against terrible teams. Do they have anything for Siena? Yeah. They're going to win.
Duke by 30.
Ohio State, I kind of wanted to actually, now that I'm saying it, there are some inflection points in here that get to our overall thoughts on the Big Ten versus and Big 12 versus these other brackets or these other conferences. That Wisconsin-Arkansas game potentially could be huge. Obviously, Purdue doesn't really face anybody other than if they get Missouri. That's an SEC team. And then we got Michigan, Alabama. It does kind of lead down to matchups that we care about, asserting Big Ten dominance. We got Ohio State, 8-9, TCU. Do we finally have an 8-seed winner with Ohio State?
Go ahead, Irving.
James's nodding.
I'm going to say no. I think TCU is a better team here. I think they're from a better conference. Ohio State snuck in with a couple of good games in the Big Ten tournament. They are playing motivated. This is a team that has a senior leader that hasn't made the tournament. Now he has. But I think Ohio State is just too unpredictable. TCU has beat some big teams this year. They have been battle tested. I will tell you that the Big 12, in my opinion, is better on the top side, so there's some questions, but I believe Ohio State sits below where TCU sits in their respective conferences. I have TCU, another 9-seed winning.
Drew's any rebuttal to that?
I'm going to break the ice here. I like Ohio State slightly over TCU. Toss-up game. It's one of those that's it's hard to get in too much to the prediction because you look above and you see Duke, and it's likely either one of them are going to get wiped out anyway. So I do like Ohio State slightly over TCU.
Are we holding to in Northern Iowa? Tough game upset prediction and another 12-5 matchup. We got St. John's, the actual leaders of the Big East, right? The true champions, way better than UConn, who stinks. Are they getting knocked up by Northern Iowa, or are we just seeing shadows of the past from Northern Iowa?
Nah, Northern Iowa's a good team. The problem with this is that there's two very different styles here. Northern Iowa does not play the athletic type of game that St. John's does. I do like Northern Iowa as the 12 seed. Interesting seeding here with that St. John's gets a 5 seed and won their conference. UConn doesn't win their conference and they get a 2 seed. So this is a big question mark to me. We'll get to them at the bottom of this. I don't see St. John's ever beating Duke. So I'm going to take St. John's here just because it saves a point for you in the bracket. Take St. John's.
Now, well, bigger question. Do you see St. John's beating Kansas? Because they get the winner of Kansas and something called Cal Baptist, who we're not going to spend any time talking about. We're going to talk about Kansas advancing to face St. John's. Druzy.
Kansas
St.
advances
John's.
to face St. John's, but then we'll have to talk about how Irby's Jayhawks are going to get downed by St. John's and the Red Storm because they're playing better this time of year, and I just got a feeling St. John's is going to move on. It's March, which means Kansas is going to fold. Can't wait for Irby's take, but I got St. John's over Kansas.
Bill Self, Jersey. Bill Self. He wins in March. Doesn't matter where he is. He's bringing Kansas and the Jayhawks. They have the second best player in the country. He's going to come to play. When this game will come down to a last shot, Drew. Mark my words. And Kansas has a better individual player than St. John's. You got to take Kansas here, and they're gonna. I don't care how they finished the regular season. You've seen how good they can play. They've got some senior leadership at point guard too. Forget about Kansas. The Jayhawks are marching on. They beat St. John's.
We got a split decision here, St. John's and Kansas. My big concern with Kansas is why are they down 20 points in the last couple of times I've watched them play basketball? What's the deal? Why are they getting down? The real question is, do either team, let's not make a hard decision here. We're split in the middle, split in the difference. Is any team, are they the team to knock off Duke? Either one.
No, although I will say, Dilly, I like Duke, but just real quick, slight concerns with Duke's health. Caleb Foster out, and I think Ngongba might be out for the foreseeable future too. That would be the one concern, but I think either way, Duke gets out of this top half.
Ngongba, expected return 318. I don't know if that's really up to date.
That would be huge.
They got Ufakayu, whoever the fuck that is. 0.8 games. He's going to be back in September of 26. Whoever that guy is.
And that seals the deal that this podcast will not be listened to because it will be blocked.
That's his name. You can say a guy's name.
There's got to be some kind of NIL deal associated with that guy. Somebody get on that.
Wow. All right. Welcome back to the program. We got Louisville and South Florida. We don't really like South Florida Bulls. We like them in golf in mid-2000s. Ooh, Druzy. He's got who's the guy that does the two fingers in the air? Druzy, go ahead. Talk to me, Goose.
I do like South Florida in this game. Louisville, another one of those middling teams in a middling conference. South Florida playing fantastic over the last couple months. I think they were like 8-8 or something at some point, and they've rattled off a ton of victories. Watched them play a little bit over the weekend, and I like them, and I'm taking them over Louisville.
Concurred. South Florida will win that game over Louisville. Louisville is overrated. They played well in the beginning of the season and kind of rode that fast start. And South Florida's direct opposite. Started slow, playing well now, and that's what you need. Sorry, Louisville. You stink like you did last year, which they did.
Rick Pitino loses in the first round with Kentucky, slides across the bracket, loses again to South Florida. Tough day for Rick Pitino. Probably has a new suit for each game, I'm willing to bet. North Dakota State, that was kind of fun. They got Michigan State. Meh.
It was fun for the Bison for a while, but this isn't Division II football, so go Spartans.
Izzo and Michigan State get right, they win that game.
Is Mateen Cleaves on the coaching staff of the Michigan? Is he? He should be.
No, he's an official alumni in every game and will be on the TV screen 7,000 times during the tournament.
As he should be. UCLA versus our friends UCF, another Florida team. You know, heaven forbid we get UCF and South Florida in a matchup. Big 12 versus Big 10. You know, this is a middling Big 10 versus middling Big 12. Is this that kind of crux point you were talking about, Irby, where the lower half of the Big 10 is better, or, you know, lower half of teams that made the tournament in the Big 10 are better than the lower half of the Big 12 that made the tournament?
Yeah, and I've got UCLA's playing well. You saw in the Big 10. So you've got to, unfortunately, that's what Purdue did. So UCLA kind of did the same thing. Just didn't have enough to beat Purdue yesterday. But I will tell you, UCLA beats this UCF team that played, again, well during the beginning of the season and then to the middle of the season, but now it's kind of trailed off a little bit. I like UCLA here. Well,
Bannon's in the mix for UCLA, Druzy?
I concur with Irby. I like UCLA. Hopefully they're healthy. I know Donovan Dent has had some health problems, and Tyler Bilodeau as well. But if they are back, and even if they're not, I still like UCLA in this one against UCF.
We move to the bottom of the bracket with possibly the worst team ever to be a 2 seed, the UConn Huskies. Irby thinks they were maybe an at-large bid type of team. Credentials weak conference, historically bad, haven't won anything in a long time. Irby, the 186th ranked Furman guys from Furman. What the hell is their mascot?
The Purple Paladins.
Oh, God. They're done. Wow. The Purple Paladins sounds like a, unbecoming website. They are 0-0 against the top 25. Do they get it done here against UConn?
Nope, UConn wins. Here's the problem. I don't want to pick UConn, but you almost have to pick UConn because basically that team is full of guys that know what it takes in March. And UConn's going to win a few games here. They are. I think that UConn, Drew, I don't know what you think if you project out. I think they lose to possibly a Spartans team that got hot here in March.
Completely agree with that. I do think a UConn-UCLA game could be interesting if UCLA is at full strength, but I agree with Herbs. I do like UConn, but if we're going to predict out of this bottom half of the bracket, I do like Sparty to get to the Elite Eight.
If you're feeling a little juicy and you think Michigan State is going to beat UConn anyway, maybe pull the UCLA upset, get yourself a few extra points, or totally destroy your bracket in the first week by the second round by having UConn as the champ. But you had UCLA beat them. And shit, if you're going to have UCLA beat them, you might as well have Furman beat them. The Purple Paladins. Whatever worst name in the business. Right. We completed the bracket there. Basically, we got Duke, Michigan State in the Elite Eight there. We're gonna move south quick, and then we're gonna hit a stop. I don't know what these teams are. Lehigh versus Panama. What is this? PVAM.
There is one team from the World Cup that actually gets into the tournament. So this is that one team. Panama is in.
CONCACAF representatives, Panama.
And even with 11 players, Florida still beats them.
Correct.
I get it now. I had to think first. They get 11 players on the court, including
Correct.
Is this an 8-foot-tall goalie that has legal goaltending?
And the sticky gloves. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Like Florida.
11 players, sticky gloves, still lose. Florida moves on.
When we say the SEC sucks, we're not talking about the Florida Gators. They're pretty good. Good conference versus bad conference here. Number 9, Iowa versus number 8, Clemson. Irby, is there any chance that an 8 seed can win in this tournament?
No. Iowa wins this game 47-42 because it's two defensive teams that don't like to move the ball. Clemson does stink. No right being in this tournament. Iowa's good. They've got to make some shots, but they play defense. Literally, this game may not go over 50 points in the full game.
Druzy.
I don't have anything to say about this game. This is the least interesting game, I think, in the whole bracket. Go Florida. Mark it down for the Gators. I'm skipping ahead.
It'd be the same in football, too. Just kind of
yes, sir.
The former glorious Clemson versus the immovable object, 13-10. Who gives a shit? We got our other favorite team from the great conference, the SEC, Vanderbilt against the McNeese Cheese. Irby, is it too early to knock out Vanderbilt here?
Nope. McNeese, it's my 12 lock. Lock it in. McNeese wins.
Druzy, McNeese, they've been dancing around a little bit before.
It seems like they're always, it seems like they're always sniffing around that 11-12 seed and giving teams all kinds of problems. Tough matchup for Vanderbilt, but I do have Vandy winning this. Vandy had a nice run in the SEC tournament, so I got Vandy in a close game over McNeese.
Druzy, you obviously haven't been listening during your little hiatus. There is absolutely no way we can check the Vanderbilt box. It would be sacrilegious, and they did get hot, and they did kind of play good in the tournament, so we might be eating some moldy McCheese sandwiches after this. But we're going McNeese here. Nebraska versus Troy. We don't like Nebraska that much. I don't anyway. They're winning, right? Troy, they're not even
Correct.
good at
Yes, sir.
anything.
Troy was good in the when Caesar was ruling.
Yeah,
Not
and
anymore.
in the Peloponnesian Wars, they were great. Nebraska, not so much.
Brad Pitt isn't coming to save their ass this week.
That is
Gonna be
correct.
More of Orlando Bloom and Eric Banya type of tournament for them. All right, Shaka Smart and VCU taking on Dean Smith and Michael Jordan, North Carolina. Can we like VCU here? Is it possible? Or, they got hot, they got in, it's a fun story. It's over? Druzy?
I think it's very possible. I'm going to forget his name. Hopefully you guys maybe have it, but North Carolina's best player is out for the year, and I think that is a huge – yeah, and so
He's out.
His name escapes me right now, but that is a huge difference maker, I think, in this game, and VCU absolutely has a chance. I would probably actually lean towards VCU if I had to pick right now, which is what we're doing, so I'm going to go with VCU.
Third. VCU wins that game. North Carolina, terrible conference, best player out. See ya.
CC not repping too good in the old Southern bracket. We didn't like them to begin with, and we like them less now that we see the matchups. This moves on to a good team from a good conference. Penn shouldn't even be in here. Yale should have beat them. What are we doing? How's this, can we override something? 17-11 against very stiff competition, though. They do have the 135th strongest schedule, and they were 0-0 against top 25 teams. Illinois is good. Penn's bad. Move along.
Yeah, they're about to be 0-1 against top 25 teams.
Now we get into a team that everybody seems to fall in love with a little bit each year. St. Mary's. Is this the old St. Mary's we can all fall in love with and have them win some games versus Texas A&M from the terrible, stinking cesspool of the SEC?
Drew, I'm going to take this, but I want to hear your thoughts. I think this will be a very interesting 10-7 game. I'm not in love with St. Mary's, but I think they're going to have more because of the style of play than Texas A&M has. I don't think Texas A&M can run with St. Mary's, and St. Mary's plays enough defense that the athletes that A&M has aren't going to win. I've got St. Mary's, but I'm really interested in your thoughts, Drew.
I agree with Herbs on a lot of those points. I'm not in love with St. Mary's, but St. Mary's is always great at dictating pace. That seems to what they do best. And Texas A&M, like you said, Dilly, kind of another one of those middling teams, and it feels like St. Mary's, this is a good matchup for St. Mary's. I got St. Mary's.
We know we like Houston. Once told me they're a bunch of old guys that are the same team that almost made it last year. TV told me earlier today 2 freshmen start and another third one plays all the time, so they got a little new blood. They must have got some somewhere. Cruising past Idaho. Is this game you'll even watch?
Yeah, because Houston's fun to watch, but it's not going to be close.
Yeah, Houston's awesome, but they win by 35.
When does Houston face a tough matchup until they get to Illinois? I mean, they're going to blast St. Mary's as well.
Tough matchup. I definitely got them winning, Dilly, but again, St. Mary's can sometimes grind the game down, but Houston's built for this time of year, so I got Houston.
Houston, Illinois is an interesting matchup.
Could be a nice one.
That is not who Houston wanted to see in their little pod of the South.
Yeah, Illinois is a tough team. I'm not even sure we're going to be able to pick that one right now. We got a back up to the top here. I mean, we went McNeese over Vanderbilt. Are they going to get past Nebraska as well? Knock out as McNeese are Cinderella for the Sweet 16, Irby.
I don't hate that. I don't like Nebraska. Now they're going to be better than McNeese, but I don't hate picking 12. If you want to pick a 12 into the Sweet 16, McNeese could be that. I think it's a lock. McNeese is against Vanderbilt. I would go with them over Nebraska. You're probably going to obviously have a different animal because in your bracket, McNeese isn't playing here. This is Vanderbilt.
Yeah, but your points are valid, Herbs, in the sense that this is not, I mean, to pick McNeese to get to the Sweet 16 is not at all a crazy thought. Since I have Vanderbilt, I do have Nebraska winning that game, but I don't feel great about it. They started off great, and it just seems like they've been middling lately, haven't been playing great basketball. I do think Nebraska will be motivated. They don't have, I think I heard the stat today, they don't have a win yet in the tournament, so I think they'll be up for that game. So I do have Nebraska getting to the Sweet 16, but I don't love it.
Yeah, I guess they'll get their win against Troy and then be ripe for a letdown. Regardless, we got Florida marching through to the Elite Eight to face the winner of Illinois, Houston. That seems pretty,
yes, sir,
pretty feasible. And Florida, they still have a 6'12" guy, right? Okay.
So they have like four of them.
Yeah, he's got it's the reigning national champions. You got to get them there. I think there's a chance that this is a 2 seed in Houston that I would like to see in the Final Four. I don't know if they make the Great Eight, to be honest. I think if Illinois gets hot, problem with Illinois is they've given away too many double-digit leads in the last 3 weeks, which is going to makes me nervous taking Illinois anywhere here. Just don't think they know how to win when it's big. Houston does.
Totally concur with that, Herbs. I want to pick Illinois because I think they might have more talent, but they just have these games where they're up by 12, 13 points, and then you blink and they end up losing the game. And Houston has the pedigree and the players for this time of year, and I'm going to take Houston into the Elite Eight.
Just got word in the chat here from a live listener, live studio audience. 6'12", also known as 7 feet, 7-footer. So 6'12", not that special. I think we should wrap this up, get everybody started on the brackets. We'll come back quick and address the rest of the tournament, hit a couple of possible get crazy upset special teams, and put your money where your mouth is. Calcutta talk. We'll be back shortly.
Later.